Guys, after subscribing to this channel, please make sure that you also press the bell icon so that no notification, no new video of mine, any educational video, is missed by anybody.
So let's begin, guys. So let's see the first question that has come. Now see, look at the marks distribution and concentrate on how I have given you the answers. What's more important is the number of points rather than any, explanation. So even if you write down 1, 1, 2, 2 lines, and you've got a lot of points, you will get the marks. Okay, you do not have to describe a lot. The DNB papers these days and the DNB examiners these days, they're focusing more on the knowledge rather than the expansion of the knowledge. So if you do know the pointers, that will come in very, very handy. And do look at my questions. Every question has a lot of points and just subtle 1 or 2 liners to explain it. And we do expect you to already know it anyway. So when I ask you what are the various different types of ART, that means assisted reproductive techniques, my answer doesn't stop on IUI and IVF. Okay, now have a look at this table. This table has, see, I'll try to expand it. It's got intrauterine insemination, which definitely it is, so no doubt about it. But it's got ICSI, okay? ICSI, it's got GIFT, ZIFT, which you don't use these days. But oocyte, cryopreservation, embryo cryopreservation, don't you think they are also assisted reproductive techniques, aren't they? Correct? So, not just that, also donor oocyte, using of the donor oocyte, gestational surrogacy. What do you think they are? These are all artificial reproductive. Why can't you use them? And why can't you have an improvised answer for that case? Then, gestational surrogacy, like I said. Then pre-implantation genetic testing. This might not exactly come as a assisted reproductive technique, but we are assisting, and we are assisting in reproduction only by genetically testing the gamete, isn't it? Many people don't really require it. They just don't want any further, recurrent pregnancy failures. So why don't we go for pre-implantation genetic testing? Time-lapse imaging technique, yes, has been, a continuous monitoring, continuous cultures, and it's more of a growing algorithm. So again, used in very high-end centers. In vitro maturation with the same thing, and an artificial insemination of the donor sperm. So ICSI and everything come under this. Okay, so these are the different techniques, and if you write down all of them, or even I would say more than half of them, I have given you some 12 techniques. Even if you write down 8 of them, you will be getting good marks. One line each, and I'm sure you know. IUI ko you know how to expand, IVF ko you know how to expand, ICSI ko you know how to expand. These are for sure have to write down. Oocyte embryo cryopreservation, yes, very important. Oocyte cryopreservation, embryo cryopreservation, donor oocyte, gestational surrogacy, pre-implantation genetic testing, and artificial insemination. All these will come in handy and should be used by all of you in this answer. This question, Surrogacy Act, has been asked in the previous question paper, in the previous one as well. I think this is the third time it's being repeated, and almost a similar point. What was Surrogacy Act? How is it different? What are the newer recommendations? These are the questions coming, and they cannot ask another third question because there isn't any. So I have made a table. How is it different? First of all, they have focused on the medical eligibility of the intended mothers. You do know that now surrogacy is no more commercial. It is only altruistic. So we do have a dearth of surrogates now, because then now you have to choose them from your own people, from your own pool of friends and relatives. And it's not very easy to get altruistic surrogacy with only one intention, which is goodwill. So anyways, they've added a few things to this, condition. First of all, the intended mothers, what should be their eligibility? Who will be even allowed surrogacy? First of all, very important. They've added a condition that any condition which necessitated removal of the uterus. So if the mother does not have a uterus because of endometrial cancer and she got the womb removed, obstetric hysterectomy, she got the womb removed, recurrent implantation failures are there, so she has to go for a surrogacy, like more than 3 failed IVF cycles. So these are explicit indications given in the newer Surrogacy Act, and it clarifies that WHO grade 3 to 4 medical disorders, contraindicating pregnancies, are also eligible. Okay, so now you know that if you are having any of these conditions in which you do have, medical indications which are board certified. See, district medical board, it specifies a few conditions under which you cannot carry the pregnancy. Apart from that, nobody was allowed to go for surrogacy. But now they have allowed a few, added on conditions. Like, for example, some mother does not have any issues, but she's got a womb removed because of previous obstetric hemorrhage. She does not have that baby, nor does she have now any hope for a further baby. She can be allowed. She's got IVF multiple times done and failed. She is an important candidate, which was not allowed before. And now if she's had a uterine cancer, got a womb removed, she also has a right to be a mother. Then gamete source flexibility. They've tried to address some, but still it is by far a difficult job. Permits the oocyte donation from a third-party donor when the intending mother's ovarian reserve is inadequate. For example, I'm to undergo this, basically intended pregnancy, and my MH pool is very, very low. Then I can get a donor oocyte, a donor donation. Gamete source is flexible, okay, but surrogate pool, that we're going to discuss in a short while. Sperm donation, though, is still restricted to the intending father, except in case of azoospermia. Age criteria is retained. That means 23 to 50 was earlier. Man will be between 26 to 55. Intending woman will be 23 to 50. But now age at the time of embryo transfer has to be explicitly stated. When you chose the female and when you're finally having the gamete transfer, both ages can be different. Surrogate screening is very important, extended now up to the age of 38 years if the obstetric history is favorable. That means she's got less than 2 prior cesarean section, her BMI is like lower side. You can go for a second surrogacy only if the previous one was before this act came, 2021. Okay, and insurance cover extends to 36 months postpartum to cover the late onset complications. There could be late onset complications, which is basically helping the surrogate more. And of course, you need to have a proper psychological evaluation, because at the time of signing, they're saying, I'll give the baby. And at the time of delivery, they're saying, I don't want to. So in that case, it will be very difficult. So both the sides, mandatory standardized consultation for both the surrogates and the intending couple. So it's very important. And once it's written down, then they have to abide by the rules. These are certain very important amendments. Then embryo transfer limits. They are harmonized with the ART rules. Less than 2 embryos in the woman less than 35 years, and single embryo transfer is always preferred. Then time-bound clearance. The District of Medical Board should issue the certificate within 90 days of application. And obviously, how long will you keep waiting for that? There are certain penalties which is going to be, involved in the next question. They'll be covered in the next question. So these are very important, acts which have now come into these amendments in 2024, which have come in from the previous 2021 Act. So 2021 Act was the one which we have been asking up till now. Lots of questions have come on 2021. How is it different from the previous one? So it was already established. All these major mega things that I was speaking about, that no commercialization of any further, only altruistic surrogates. What is the age limit of the surrogates? What kind of compensation do you give to the surrogates? So on and so forth. All these things are already covered in 2021 Act. Now we have 2024 amendments. Act is already passed. Now they are amendment highlights. So these were the amendments that I was telling you about. Then you have some punishment to the violation of the Surrogacy Act. For example, undertaking or advertising or facilitating in any which way a commercial surrogacy, then you can have a first round of punishment is 5 years of rigorous imprisonment and 5 to 10 lakhs of fine. Operating a surrogacy clinic without registration, same fine. And exploiting the surrogate mother of a child, or a surrogate mother or a surrogate child, for example, abandoning the child or non-payment of medical expenses, the similar amount of punishment. Performing or promoting sex-selective surrogacy, that's even more. 5 to 10 years of rigorous imprisonment and 10 to 25 lakhs fine. This is dangerous. Okay. Then contravention of any other provision, then 3 years imprisonment and about 1 to 5 lakh of fine. Failure to maintain the records for 25 years, that's also essentially important. This is 1 year of rigorous imprisonment, 1 lakh fine. So mostly the fines have already been very, very explicitly explained in the Amendment Act of 2024.